All right, all right, everyone. It is Wednesday, October 18th, the bye week. I was telling Billy Ray I'm more of a hello week kind of guy. So hello, Billy Ray, and hello to the Sons of Saturday listeners. Billy Ray is down there in Charlotte, North Carolina, actually at my home right now.
He's not here. Yeah.
I am not there. There's this bar at in Chapel Hill called He's Not Here. I am not there. I am in New Jersey. I got a big wedding this weekend. EJ, DaCosta, and Beth Bonnie are getting married in Spring Lake, New Jersey. Heading on down there tomorrow. I'm in the wedding. It's gonna be a big weekend. I got to tell you guys, it is our bye week. Having the bye week on week 8. We could talk about this off the top, Billy Ray. I tweeted about this last night. Everyone was hyping up week 8 in August. Adam Brenneman did a whole reel on Instagram. You guys, if you have a wedding on week 8, it's going to be a brutal day. A lot of people are going to be around TVs. And then he listed off all the games. Florida State's playing Duke. That's a big game. I hope Riley Leonard is healthy. Tennessee is playing Alabama. That's a big game, but wouldn't say it's as big as we thought it was going to be. Both of those teams have one loss, but I don't really think Tennessee is the Tennessee that folks thought they were going to be, and Alabama has certainly had their struggles as well. Obviously, the game of the week, where the once upon a Saturday tour is going, is in Columbus. You got Penn State at Ohio State. Ohio State's like a 3.5 or 4 point favorite. Other than that, are you calling this an epic slate that, schedule your life around it? Because I'm fine. I'm gonna be. Listen, there's no Hokie football to miss. I'm gonna be fine, not huddled around a TV. I will be checking the score of the Penn State game.
It's an above average week. If you go back and you look, I mean, Tennessee, Alabama doesn't have the playoff implications at this point that we thought it was going to have. I mean,
you got USC, Utah, which is not much of a game.
Yeah, Clemson, Miami, you were probably interested in like week 1. And we're going to talk about this later, but Clemson's playing for a little bit of pride now, which is so weird to say in mid-October. I'm kind of interested to see the North Carolina-Virginia game. Virginia's had North Carolina's number for a while. We're also going to talk a little bit about North Carolina. Look, it's the bye week. We can talk about whatever we want. That's why I've texted you like 6 times this week. Hey, I can't wait for our podcast because we can literally do whatever we want.
And guys, just so you know, this content right here, this is bonus content.
It is. It is.
We didn't have to be here tonight. So, just as an exchange for our services this evening, please like the video.
Yeah.
Please subscribe to the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment. If it's a nice comment.
Yeah. No, good. That's actually a perfect transition.
We never asked for likes and subscribers, honestly.
Ever.
We just kind of forget. We just hope
and we do read them. And I have to say, so I'm shocked that it took us this long to get here. We've been doing this for like 5 years. We've been doing Hokie haikus for a long time. And honestly, after our win against Pittsburgh, in the back of my head, I made a mental note and I said, somebody is going to say something about the poems. The poems are getting crazy and I love them. But if I'm jumping into the video for the first time and we're doing 9 or 10 poems, I might be hitting skip. So Mike Hutt Loans on YouTube, thank you for the comment. He says, I enjoy your guys' stuff, and thank you for putting out good content. You're welcome, and thank you for the comment. I know it is your stick. But this haiku thing,
stick.
He meant to say this haiku thing is a little bit UVA. I disagree. Poetry and PBR just don't fit together. Go Hokies. So we're gonna meet you halfway, Mike Hutt Loans. We're gonna take out a mortgage, and we're gonna pay out our haikus over time. So we will keep the haikus at the beginning of the podcast to 3 maximum, and the rest of them will be nicely nestled into our Sharky shoutouts area.
So this means that if you want to submit a haiku, you are now jockeying for position.
Yep.
For that top 3. So this actually might up the game of some of the haikus. Not that you guys don't have great haikus. I think you guys have phenomenal haikus. But there can only be 3 read at the top of the episode.
Please keep them coming, though. I do want to say, though, please, like, we love I love doing them. They're fun. See, look at it. Look, his comment got us talking about poetry for 10 minutes at the beginning of the podcast. But I very much love them. We got 3 total this week. So we have the first one at the top, and we have the other 2 at the bottom. But we're going to go.
I think we have to read Grady B's now.
Okay.
We already brought up Mortgage Mike.
Okay.
So we got to bring up Grady B's retort, which I found fantastic, and I said we would read it off the top.
Hit it.
No fun, Mortgage Mike. Rising rates have bummed him out. Long live the haikus.
Grady B. Well
Treasure.
done. The rates are bad.
The rates are horrible. So I would be bummed too. I'm actually bummed, not as a mortgage guy, but still bummed.
We are going to spend very little time talking about Virginia Tech football. But we do have just a couple things we want to share. Before we dive into our talking points, I just want to talk about the season so far. This season has been like the Shane Beamer of football seasons. I mean, we have had some highs, we have had some lows, we've had some middles. The only meme that I can think of when I put out my tweet about basically, if you would have told me we are where we are right now after the Marshall game, it'd be like that meme at the Hot Wings and Hot. I don't know which one it is. The Hot Ones, where he goes, "Look at us, look at us. Can you believe it? Not me." That's kind of where we're sitting right now. But I've had fun. I'll tell you what. We were talking about this earlier today. I feel much better than I did after the game. I'm not really used to winning in Blacksburg. Blacksburg has just quite frankly been kicking my ass. I wake up on Sunday and it's just like we wake up after the Pitt game and after the Wake Forest game. We literally wake up and then we'll call 10 people and we'll just be like, dude, this was like one of the best weekends in Blacksburg ever. Hands down. Like it was a movie in Blacksburg. And they were all great weekends, but I think some of that has to do with we've just missed winning at home.
We certainly have. And let's look at this. Let's play devil's advocate. The schedule at home this year, not necessarily what I would call a murderer's row. That doesn't matter. Throw out the records. Historically, I guess the past decade, we have not been great at home. And to see a team win 2 conference games in a row at home and looking at the outlook, the 5 games we have left, the ones that come to Lane Stadium, I'm feeling good about. The ones on the road, we'll see. I said this in the last podcast. Big opportunity in Louisville, big opportunity up at Chestnut Hill, big opportunity in Charlottesville for this staff to get their first Power 5 road win. We got to talk baby steps, but I think it's fair to set, some solid lofty expectations for this totally different team that we've seen these last few weeks.
So we took 2 pieces of data that we have just as observations for a mid-season-ish check-in. Do you want to share those data points? We deep dive the Hokies all the time, but here are 2 things just during the bye week that really stood out to us. You want to start with number 1?
Yeah, I will say that we've had a really, really, really challenging time on third down, and this was early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been the last few games as well. You look at the box score and we're converting, between 3 and 6 times on third down throughout the entire course of the game. Currently, we are 123rd in the country out of 130 teams for third down conversion rating at 30.9%, which is quite frankly very, very, very low. Not good. Pittsburgh game, I think we converted 3. And thankfully, we were working with not the Pittsburgh game. I'm sorry, the Wake Forest game. We were working with a short field, a good handful of the possessions due to turning them over. But that is something that is going to need to improve. And thankfully, as we have mentioned, we are pretty solid on fourth down. We are batting more than 500, greater than 500 on fourth down conversions. It's because we have more established run game, and Kyron Drones gives us an option. And he's like Logan Thomas out there. He can get you that extra yard in a short yardage situation. The other statistic that I just thought was interesting is our pass defense. We have the 7th ranked pass defense in the country as of post week 7. And we're allowing just under 170 yards through the air per game. Now, this statistic is slightly skewed. We have not necessarily played that many teams that have an aggressive passing attack. And we have one of the worst run defenses in the Power 5, as we have seen against Pittsburgh with their long plays, Florida State with their long plays, Marshall. You guys know the story. This is not a surprise. But I do find it interesting that our pass defense has been so good. We've not been beat in the passing game. Think about how many times we've been beat over the top. Very few. And you got to tip your cap to our folks in the secondary and Coach Cheetah and Coach Prelu. I mean, they've been doing a great job, and our guys have been rock solid in those roles.
Completely agree. I think in this Wake Forest game, and honestly, Florida State, we went against more so Florida State, but it was basically like, look, teams are going to run the ball on us. They don't have to pass the ball. Wake Forest was in a position they needed to pass the ball. They weren't able to. The one area that Tech just has to get better at is forcing turnovers. I think we've done a phenomenal job not turning the ball over, but that turnover margin just quite frankly needs to be better. So trending up
this week,
heading in the right direction. And the fumble this past week against Wake Forest, a little bit of a freak situation. Defensive back did a great job putting his head on the ball. If I were to tell Bashal Tutin to do something to avoid that, I would have to tell him to stop trying to run people over. And I'm never going to tell Bashal Tutin to stop running people over because I love when he does that. So really good play by the defensive back. But I think in that department, that's going to be where we make a difference. Last week, we could talk about the Wake Forest game for another hour if we wanted to, but we already did that. Complimentary football, all phases of the football game. And that's how we went out and won. So love that.
Before we jump into the ACC and kind of just around college football, I think it would make sense to just talk about what is different about the football team now as opposed to 4 or 5 weeks ago. Offensively, I know that the changes that we made on defense, like we've made some talk, but I want to talk about offense first because it's truly so different from what we saw at Rutgers, so different than what we saw against Marshall. But you have to tip your cap to Kyron Drones and how great of a fit he has been in this Tyler Bowen offense. Specifically at home, Pete B put this on the timeline this week and got me fired up. But Drones in Lane Stadium is completing 62.5% of his passes. It's 35 of 56. 10.5 yards per pass attempt, 589 yards passing, 115 yards rushing, 7 total touchdowns, and 180.3 passer rating. What really stands out there, one, his completion percentage is pretty solid, but the 7 touchdowns to 0 interceptions ratio, and you bringing up the turnover last week, maybe you want to touch on this, but Drones is really good at taking care of the football when he's making decisions. I know there's been a few throws that have been slightly errant, or you're holding your breath because there's a risk of it getting picked off. But his ability to, I don't even want to. I guess we could call him. I don't think it'd be crediting him enough to call him a game manager. But I do think that he's put us in a position to win. He's put us in a position to dominate and control time of possession, especially at home. And then I think his ability to run the football when we need him to opens up his passing game so much and also opens up the opportunity for Bashal Tutin to get open in the screen game and catch 4 or 5 balls a game and really make an impact there. But what do you think about Drones' performance so far? Anything that stood out to you that I didn't mention? Because I'm really impressed with what I've seen.
No, I think to your game manager point, and this clip's been circulated around since we talked about it on the Wake post game press conference, post podcast. Blah, 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 blah. He has done, as he matures in the offense, he's not going out there and being given like, hey, go out there and do this. You're seeing him being able to adjust on the fly. You're seeing him play with confidence. You're seeing him play with a swagger that we haven't seen at the quarterback position since Hendon Hooker in 2019. And I think the biggest thing that stands out to me, and I know it's another thing we're going to talk about later, is this is a completely different football team visually, not the scores of the game, not, the stats at the end of the game, from how excited and how much swagger this football team plays with. When we first saw it against Pittsburgh, you were like, whoa, who are these guys? And you saw it again. You saw it on the interception for Derek Canteen. You saw the entire team rally around him, when before you'd get a turnover, you'd get off the field on 4th down or 3rd down. You didn't see that spark, that excitement, that personality that you expect from a team that has the coaching staff that it has the personalities that it has. And I just think over time, we're a young football team and leaders are starting to emerge. Personalities are starting to emerge, and winning is fun. So that's really jumped off the screen to me is whether it's Kyron Drones' ability to do this, whether it's a team thing, a coaching thing, the team just looks different from a personality standpoint. It's giving much more golden retriever than it's giving like house cat. I guess that's the really only comparison that I can give. And I love it. I think it has elevated this football team.
The throw that Kyron Drones made on Saturday, 704 Andrew on Twitter pointed this out. It's early in the 4th quarter, 1st down. Initial read is Jalen Lane, who's in motion to the left for the sprint out route. And one of the ends for Wake Forest is closing in on Drones. Drones does this awesome sidestep to miss the pass rusher and finds his second read, which is Tucker, and just throws an absolute dart to him past the sticks. Tucker gets 15. If you had showed me this, Purdue game or Rutgers game or Marshall game, I would be like, oh my gosh. I don't know if Drones is ready to make those throws yet, but you've just seen a steady incline of Kyron Drones as a passer every single week. That was an unbelievable pass. And, this isn't the only one. I mean, the Jalen Lane slant touchdown, obviously another fantastic pass from Drones. We didn't go long that much last week against Wake Forest, but I really like what I'm seeing, and we got 5 more games of it, and I'm really fired up. On the defense, I know that some of the biggest changes that were made, I know Mansour Delane is playing safety. How much of an impact do you think he's had on the defensive game plan, just being moved into the safety position?
It's hard to say because the defensive backfield has been so consistent. I do think that he has probably settled in to where he can be more effective now that he knows that's primarily where he's going to be. It's got to be difficult to switch from position to position each week. But for me, the biggest difference, honestly, is just how we've played up front against Pittsburgh and against Wake Forest. I mean, you hold Wake Forest, I believe it was like 1 yard per rush. If you're able to do that, man, you put yourself in such a better position, getting teams in 2nd and longs, 3rd and longs. And, for as bad as we have been on 3rd down, we've held other teams to poor 3rd down conversions as well. Wake Forest was 3 of 14 on 3rd down. They were 1 of 3 on 4th down. You saw them try to get into that kind of tush push Philadelphia Eagles formation. It wasn't happening. So I think the defensive line deserves a tremendous amount of credit, not just for pressuring the quarterback, but being more gap oriented and stopping the run. So that's another point too.
Confirming, did he play safety on Saturday?
I believe that he did play safety on Saturday. Another observation, I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the post-game podcast, was Kelly Lawson did not start at linebacker. He played the majority of the game, but he did not start at linebacker. But look, all in all, the team's getting better. It's what you want to see over the course of a year. We've gone from crawl to walk to we're kind of jogging now. Let's see if we can run down the stretch. Every single game on the rest of the schedule is absolutely winnable. And I'm excited to see us compete. Should we talk about the ACC?
I got one more thing.
Okay.
Is this, we'll find out next week, but has this defensive line turned a corner? I know we had 7 sacks last week. That was not necessarily a world-beating offensive line at Wake Forest that we were going up against. APR dominated the fourth quarter. But is this where the defensive line has turned a corner versus, are they going to come back down to earth? I think that's what remains to be seen. And that's an area of focus that we'd really like to see stay consistent here over the next few weeks.
13 tackles for loss, pressuring the quarterback, no huge gash runs. And I think that's what's beautiful about this schedule. Like, again, there is no Duke, there is no Miami, there is no Clemson, there is no North Carolina. So every single one of these games are going to be against teams that are either vying for a bowl spot and Louisville. So, we got an awesome opportunity here for the rest of the year to build up some momentum for next year and continue to grow as a team. So it's going to be a roller coaster. It really, really is. And I think we're hitting our stride at the right time. I believe Ricky Blue put out an article about, does the bye week come at an unfortuitous time? I don't think so. I think this team has, you beat Pittsburgh, then you have to go to Florida State. You beat Wake Forest, you get a bye, and then let's see what the rest of the season holds. So going to be really interesting. I was going to save this point for later. It's very funny to see that Virginia Tech is in a position to make the ACC look really, really bad. So if Virginia Tech wins out,
this is a biggie.
It is. Can I talk it out? Can I just talk it out? Can I just talk it out? Is that okay? I'm going to talk it out.
I don't think Monster Delane played safety last week, by the way.
Okay. If Tech wins out, they go 8-4, and they're 7-1 in the ACC. I would say that it's more than a possibility that Virginia Tech somehow is playing in Charlotte. Let's say they just go 4-1. They win every game except Louisville. You're 7-5 and you're 6-2 in the ACC. You're probably finishing 1 through 4, maybe 5 in the ACC. So I'm thinking about like this innocent, like casual college football fan, right? At the end of the year, he's probably betting on all the bowl games. He doesn't look every week. And he's saying, oh, wow, okay. Virginia Tech is back up towards the top of the ACC standings. They had a pretty good year. Let me look at their schedule. What? Oh my gosh. They played great in the ACC, but they lost to Purdue, who's horrible in the Big Ten, Rutgers, who's a middling Big Ten team, and a Sun Belt team in Marshall. So I just thought that was funny that Tech is in a little bit of a position to make the ACC look bad. But who knows how it's going to
be. They're in a position. We're in a position where we could make the Big Ten look good. That's it. The Big Ten and Marshall look good. Mm-hmm. Marshall and JMU playing this week. That's a big game.
The big game.
6-0 JMU, 4-0, 4-2 Marshall. I think that's on Thursday night.
Shifting over to the ACC in general, Dabo Swinney, he is a hot button topic for Virginia Tech fans. He had a quote this week. And again, Clemson for the first time in, I don't know how long, is playing for pride in the month of October. And his quote was, "We're at a point where if you don't go undefeated, you are losers. You are terrible. And that is just such a terrible mindset. And honestly, maybe we need to lose a few games and lighten up the bandwagon. Sometimes the bandwagon can get a little too full. That is the one good thing about going through a little so-called adversity. You really find out who is with you and who is not. Let me preface this by saying Dabo Swinney absolutely should not have said this out loud. Should not have said it. Not a good thing to say out loud. You're going to get a lot of critiques. You're going to get a lot of pushback. You're going to get people angry. Let's put that in a box. Chick, chick, put it over to the side. It's over in a box. I agree with him. I really do. College football being in a place, and this was my argument against the college football playoff for so long, was for certain programs, if you are not competing for a national title, they don't give a damn about you. And that bothers me. I think in the age of the playoff not existing, Duke is getting a ton more recognition for what they're doing this year. I think that a lot of programs, the Ohio States, the Clemsons, the Alabamas, the LSUs, USC to a lesser degree over the last decade, are at a point where, like, no matter how good you are, if you have a really solid football team, if you're not competing for a national title, nobody really cares. And I'm thinking back at some of my favorite Clemson teams looking back. That Clemson team with Taj Boyd, who played LSU in the Chick-fil-A Bowl in Atlanta, I loved that team. And Clemson could be in a very similar situation where they finish with the same record. There's a lot of NFL talent on that roster, and they're kind of being viewed as a failure. So, I don't know. What were your thoughts on Dabo Swinney's comments this week?
This was the ultimate opportunity for SEC fans to just absolutely go nuts on Dabo. I can't hate what he said. I think there's some truth to it, and sometimes you're not supposed to open your mouth about those sorts of things. I know I did agree with Josh Pate on his show last night. He was talking about how Dabo cares a little bit too much about what others think and what others say. And unfortunately, sometimes you can tell that it gets under his skin, and he will lash out at his own fans. It's something that you should probably not put out there, even if you think it. I mean, that's just how it is. I don't know if you had similar thoughts.
No, I agree. It's just I'm excited for the expanded playoff because, to the common football fan, they don't care what Clemson does the rest of the year. That's just a fact. Like if you're getting ready to watch college football, you're probably not interested in Clemson in the slightest. You're probably not interested in Miami. Miami lost a horrible, horrible game against Georgia Tech, and they lost the next week. The college football fan who isn't a specific Miami fan, if they're out there, probably doesn't really care about Miami that much this year. And I don't think that that's good for the sport when some of these brands are getting to the point where people don't care about them if they're not necessarily competing for a national championship. I'll also say this. I might be in the minority here. I really like Dabo. I think what Dabo has done at Clemson is miraculous. For the size of the school, the similarities to Virginia Tech pre-national championship run after run after run. I like Dabo. I'll also say this. Dabo gets a lot of flack for this New Spring Church paying player situation. I hate to break it to you. Like, most programs of that stature are doing that in some capacity. I think Virginia Tech fans probably have more animosity towards Dabo because it is specifically in our conference, and he has stood in the way of ACC teams rising to national prominence because, quite frankly, Clemson has been so good. So, I mean, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, not just ACC teams rising to national prominence, but recruits that are coming out of our own backyard and going there instead.
Mm-hmm.
The Clemson has won a national championship prior to the Dabo era.
Yeah, back in the 80s, but still, like, Tech and Clemson were so comparable in the 2000s to 2010 range up until around 2014.
Yeah, and I know people will compare us to Clemson, and Clemson was us prior to Clemson becoming Clemson, and that's why a lot of that resonates. Yeah, the size of the school, I don't think that's any limitation either. Yeah, they have over 20,000 undergrad enrollment. But a couple miles to the northeast or to the east, Shane Beamer.
Oh man,
A lot came out of the state of South Carolina this week. Actually, it all came out on one day, and Shane did happen to have some conversation and some commentary about being frustrated and kicking something and breaking his foot.
Well, first, he had one of the, again, I love Shane. This is a weird situation where, welcome to my world. A lot of Virginia Tech people love Shane Beamer. I love Shane Beamer. And he's in a position where you can point at something and you could say, hey, not a great look, not a good idea. And he has the really bad press conference following the Florida game where you hear him talking about basically, well, we called a blitz, we didn't run a blitz, ultimately deflecting a lot of responsibility for the loss against Florida. Past that, you find out that he broke his foot kicking a Gatorade cooler after the Florida game. I really feel for Shane for a couple of reasons. Shane, to me, as a non-South Carolina fan, has exceeded expectations at South Carolina. I think South Carolina is one of the most difficult places to win in the country. You have a fan base who has incredible expectations, and you are needing to recruit against Clemson, Georgia, North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, and you're, regardless of if you won last year, you're the second most attractive team in the state of South Carolina.
And they got to play Clemson every year.
Mm-hmm.
And if I recall correctly, their cross-divisional game in the SEC has been Texas A&M every single year.
Yeah. It is a really, really difficult place to win football games. And, his first 2 years, you probably meet expectations in year one. You feel like you're ahead of the road in year two. And on Hot Wings and Hotter Takes, Bryce correctly predicted that Clemson would finish outside of the top 10, but he did slip up in saying that South Carolina was going to take their place in the top 10. I don't know if Bryce looked at South Carolina's schedule before he said that. I predicted them to win 6 games. I'd be surprised if they get there. Their win total preseason was 6.5. They have 2 wins currently, with at Missouri this week, at Texas A&M coming up, Jacksonville State, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Clemson. So they get to have their last 4 games at home. I don't know where you find 4 wins in that. I really don't. Jacksonville State, let's chalk that up to a win. Vanderbilt, I think they can pull that out. It's probably going to be close. Texas A&M is going to be playing, I don't want to say motivated ball because I don't know if they actually love. They're not going to be like, let's go win this one for Jimbo. But Texas A&M is a talented football team. Missouri is a talented football team. Clemson's going to be playing for pride, and Kentucky's talented, even though they got their absolutely doors blown off by the University of Georgia pre-Brock Bowers injury. So I say all of this to say, I really feel for Shane. I hope he's able to pull this thing together. I do think that in a lot of ways, the worst thing that happened to Shane was this. I wasn't going to say it. I'll say it. Early success really set expectations wrongly for him moving forward. Coach Fuente wins 10 games year 1, wins 9 games in year 2. The ball falls off the table in year 3. And he's basically playing catch up for the rest of his career from then. And, obviously completely different situations, different schools, different rosters. I understand that. But this is how crazy the college football world is. I mean, ever since he got mayonnaise poured on his head all the way up until the start of this year, it's been Shane Beamer as an absolute wagon, and he's really going through it right now.
Yeah, I hope for nothing for the best, or nothing but the best. There's a lot of commentary on his tenure being an emotional roller coaster. And some of that has to do with, getting emotional in press conferences or in post-game interviews, or just, I'm not going to use the phrase wild man, but wearing his heart on his sleeve on the sideline, whenever he is on camera, honestly. And he might say some brash things in press conferences. I love Shane.
I love Shane.
I would rather have that than, a lot of what people didn't love about Coach Fu was his lack of emotion, and his, and obviously the perfect thing is probably something in the middle, right?
It's just interesting because when he gets to South Carolina and the SEC is exposed to him, I think there is a lot of who the hell does this guy think he is, coming into the conference with Nick Saban, coming into the conference with Brian Kelly, coming into the conference with some of these older coaches who have won at a high level. This guy's never been a Power 5 coach before. Hell, he's never even been a head coach at any program before. He sees the success and you get to the point where everybody that isn't a South Carolina fan or Virginia Tech affiliated is probably rooting against you. So yeah, I hope he can get this thing going in the right direction. And again, I can't say it enough. I love Shane. I love that staff, and I want him to figure it out. It's just been a house of, we're in October. We're a week and a half away from Halloween here. It's been a week of horrors, or a year of horrors so far for the Gamecocks.
I want more mayonnaise baths. I want more turn my swag on videos. I want more Carol of the Bells at the midfield at Willie B with the LED lights as a conductor. I love that. I love the shtick. I think it's awesome. I think it's fun. That's why I love college football, because college football is so fun. And I really hope that Shane and his staff can find some success. They had a hell of a year at the end of last year, beating both Tennessee, which was an absolute wagon, and Clemson, ruining both of those teams' playoff hopes in like back-to-back weeks or 2 out of 3 weeks. Finally getting the Clemson monkey off their back. But it is going to be quite a challenge. And I will say I'm glad where Virginia Tech is right now. And we've kind of totally done a 180 from where South Carolina was and where Virginia Tech was over the last few weeks. But what is next, Billy Ray?
Yeah, so this next question is one that I wrote down and then I answered it myself. I was like, I really haven't seen that many. So it's the best non-Tech game that you've watched. I love going to Virginia Tech games. I have missed one. We've both missed one this year. We've been to every game except for Marshall. But with going to Blacksburg, you don't see that many other college football games. Last week, there was the Oregon-Washington game, and every group chat that I'm in is just like, oh my gosh, game of the year. I can't believe I just had the courtesy of watching this. And I'm sitting there happy as a clam in Lane Stadium, but I'm a little bummed that I didn't get to see it.
Because you're getting the texts and your tweets are firing off.
Exactly. So to answer this question, the best game that I got to see was Colorado Stanford. And that's only because it started at like midnight on Friday night before we went to the game. I had a hard time staying awake, but it was a fun, it was a fun game to watch. I think that's the best game that I've seen all year.
Yeah. Your boy had the under. It was under 58.5, and Colorado takes a steamy 29-0 lead into the halftime. I'm like, oh my gosh, this under is an absolute lock. And then all of a sudden it absolutely wasn't. Other than that, the USC Arizona game the week prior,
we watched that at Lake Seminole, dude.
We did. We watched that after getting home from Tallahassee. That was awesome. Other than that, like we didn't get to watch Washington, Oregon. I haven't seen Penn State play this year, other than when they were beating Iowa by like 30. So not a great game. I didn't get to see the Duke Notre Dame ending either. The Ohio State Notre Dame game was a great game. I think that would probably be in the top 3 for me thus far. And then
I'm just really excited to watch college football this weekend. Like, that's really what it boils down to. I haven't gotten to do it I'm excited to do it. I got to tell you, I don't think I've seen a Big Ten team play except for Ohio State in the Notre Dame game, and I didn't get to watch that entire game.
So you did get to see Purdue and Rutgers play.
That's true. That's true. I did get to see 2 Big Ten teams play against Virginia Tech. So that leads us into this. Teams you are secretly rooting for this year in college football. So as you guys know, and as you guys give me a lot of trouble for, I love Ole Miss. I love Lane Kiffin. I love their powder blue. And if you go ahead and you look, they're still very much in the thick of things for not only the SEC West, where they are currently 3rd and hold a win over the LSU Tigers, but they're also very much in the race for the college football playoff. Some things would obviously have to happen, but they're in that race sitting at 5-1. Got a little bit of a tough schedule coming up, but excited about Ole Miss. They go to Auburn this weekend, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Georgia, UL Monroe, and at Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. But what I have absolutely loved watching and reading and rewatching this year is the Pac-12. At the beginning of the year, my hot take was that there would be 5 teams representing the top 15 from the Pac-12. I think they're going to finish with 4, but it has been such a fun conference top to bottom. You have teams that stand out as, potentially some of the best teams in the country in Washington and Oregon. You have fun dark horses in Oregon State, Washington State, UCLA, and a pesky Arizona who made the JP poll for you Josh Pate listeners out there this week. And then you have great villains. You always need villains in USC, in Colorado. It has just, in my opinion, it's been the most fun conference this entire year. So I don't know if I'm rooting for any of those teams. I love Washington and Oregon. I love the Oregon State comeback story since they've been left out of the party for conference realignment. But it's just been a fun conference.
I was going to say, and that does not even talk about Utah. You left out Utah.
Did leave out Utah,
which is a top 15 team right now. And they own the state of Florida. Let's see. Who are my sneaky teams that I secretly root for this year? I am definitely not on the North Carolina train. I'm just going to say it right now. There are a lot of people out there who are speculating on the North Carolina Tar Heels and their ability to not only win the ACC championship, but make the college football playoff. This is more so just a personal thing. I don't want to see them make it. You might see them at plus 7,000 and say, hey, that's great value. I will not encourage any behavior there. But a team that I am interested to see how the rest of their season goes is Oklahoma. Those folks who wear the crimson and cream. Now, Oklahoma, rest of their schedule. You know how sometimes you look up, like you'll type in Oklahoma football and it'll auto-populate with the schedule and the Google results?
The Google way of showing you a schedule is the worst. Literally fix that so bad.
You try to expand it and it shows you games from 2018. UCF in Norman this weekend, at Kansas, at Oklahoma State, the final Bedlam game.
Boo.
West Virginia at home, BYU in Provo, and TCU at home to end the season. Do you not see 12-0 on the schedule?
I see nothing but 12-0, which is scary. But no, I think I was shocked. I have to tell you, I was shocked that they beat Texas. I really was. And I think that kind of got glossed over this year. At the beginning of the year, I was kind of saying, look, I don't see anybody beating Texas after they beat Alabama. No, I think are you really not going to say Notre Dame though for teams that you're sneaky rooting for here? And that's nothing against you at all. I like Notre Dame too.
I don't think anything is sneaky about that.
Yeah, no, there's nothing. There's nothing.
They're on my card every single week. Notre Dame minus the points. So yeah,
I'll say one more team, and I'll probably get flack for this too. So my former boss at Twilio went to Alabama. He was a senior the first year that they won the national championship. And I think it would be really fun if Alabama just sticks it to everybody. You lose week 2, you lose an out-of-conference game for the first time in what seems like forever, and you come back out and you find a way to get back in the college football playoff. It's absolutely doable. They're playing Tennessee and LSU back-to-back over the next 2 weeks. Going to be really fun games to watch. And then you finish the season with Kentucky, Chattanooga, and at the Fighting Hugh Freezes in Auburn. I think that it would be pretty damn cool because I think that their recipe for being successful the rest of the year is to play murder football like they did from 2009 to 2000, basically up until they got Tua Tagovailoa, because they just don't have the quarterback to go out there and throw for 300, 400 yards. So kind of rooting for Alabama. I kind of am. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. I'd think it's pretty cool to see the Saban reign continue. People probably hate hearing that.
You know what I kind of want to talk about right now that we can add, and we could refer to this easily.
Yeah.
Let's check in on hot wings and hotter takes and kind of do like a mid-season check-in on some of the takes that are aging well.
Why not?
All right. So this is the toughest one so far. BRM. This was the very first take of Sons of Saturday, hot wings and hotter takes. The Hokies will have more wins on the road than at home.
Bad take. Bad take.
Khalil Herbert will have over 1,000 yards this season and be a top 7 fantasy running back. Khalil Herbert was having a great year. I know he got hurt a few weeks ago. It looks like he has 433 yards. Is this correct?
272 yards. Close. Okay.
No,
he's on the IR. He's on the IR though. He's on my IR on fantasy. So TBD. He's going to need to turn into basically, Gale Sayers for the last 8 weeks of the season to get to 1,000.
All right, Bill. These ones look pretty good. Pac-12 champion will go to the CFP.
Yep.
Pac-12 finishes.
You might get 2. You might get the runner up there too.
Teams, maybe. This one was brutal. Brennan Armstrong and Riley Leonard finished with more combined yards and touchdowns than Drake May and Jordan Travis.
Bad.
Drake May and Jordan Travis are both probably top 5 in the Heisman odds right now. Riley Leonard is awesome. Brennan Armstrong is the inverse of that.
He's benched. He's not even playing anymore.
South Carolina finishes 500 or worse. That is looking pretty solid. Okay. Here's Pat. Over 6.5 interceptions from the 4 Ds. The 4 Ds were Derek Jones, Derek Canteen, Dorian Strong, Mansour Delane. Dorian Strong has 1. Derek Canteen has 1. So we got a ways to go. Over 17.5 sacks from APR, Burgos, and Kelly Lawson. This take got crushed.
I mean, APR might get it himself.
APR, yeah, this one's probably trending well. Okay. These two are also still alive. 2023 finishes with a 3-way tie atop the Big Ten East. All 3 of these teams will be 11-1 and 7-1 in conference, causing a chaotic tiebreaker. We will find out in episode 1 on Saturday night in Columbus, where Penn State goes to take on the Buckeyes. But that is a 3-way home team wins with Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. And then this one was pretty good, I think. The winning quarterback of the LSU-Florida State game wins the Heisman Trophy. Both of them are still in it. I know Caleb Williams losing last week definitely took a lot of air out of his tires within the Heisman race. Let's see. Anything else of
I have the article up. So you also said Daquan Wright, 3rd team All ACC, probably not going to happen this year. Moving on to Bryce Chalkley. Tootin runs for 1,000 yards. I almost want to. So he's at 360 right now. He's a leading rusher on the team. I almost want to just give this one to Bryce because Bashal Tootin has done everything he can to rush for 1,000 yards. He hasn't gotten a ton of help. But Bashal Tutin has been nothing short of fantastic this year. Ollie Jennings, 10 receiving touchdowns. That won't hit, unfortunately.
Since we have like a ton of takes left between Bryce, Griffin, and Rieger, let's just read
the highlights.
Let's read some highlights here. No SEC in the national championship game. I think this one is still alive, Bryce. Griffin, how about this?
Hold on. Brock Bowers. I fully believe Brock Bowers would have been at the Heisman finalist ceremony if he did not get hurt. He was incredible this year. Really bummed to see that he got hurt.
One of the better takes on here from Bryce. Griffin, his first take. We have a 4-game win streak that lands us in the top 25 at some point during the season. And the games were Wake, Louisville, Syracuse, and Boston College. This take is still alive. Now, are they going to put a 6-4 Virginia Tech team in the top 25? Very unlikely. But this is college football where anything can happen. Tech defense forces at least 18 turnovers. Got a long way to go there. Kyron Drones starts at least 3 games.
Ding, 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 ding.
Alabama loses 3 games. No. And
they could if they lose the next 2. The next 2 games they have are losable. I don't think it'll happen, but I wouldn't call that one dead yet.
Yeah, that one's still alive. I just think Alabama's very much, 1A, 1B, Georgia, Alabama here as it's been. Chris Rieger, D-Block will be back. The safeties will be the strongest unit on the team and lead the team in takeaways. This is a pretty solid take.
Yeah, that's a solid take. That is a solid take. I would say probably our safeties and our defensive backs as a whole, honestly, have been the highlight of the defense so far.
I will not read the next 2. And then Ohio State will finish outside the top 10. I don't know if I see that happening. Florida State plays for the national championship. Still alive. So I would say half of these takes are still alive.
Yeah.
We definitely brought our A game to Hot Wings and Hotter Takes this year. The ones last year were pretty brutal.
Pretty bad.
What do you hate? Talk to me.
I'm trying to jump back into our doc because I jumped into 15 different windows here.
Okay. Then in the meantime, I'm going to talk to you guys about our friends over at Benny Marzano's. We received a lot of feedback. Positive. I think it was mostly positive in regards to Billy Ray here eating pizza off of the ground at Saturday's game. And it sounds like this will not be the last time this happens. It actually sounds like most, if not all, Sons of Saturday listeners will actually be buying pizza around Section 5 at the next home just to leave it on the ground to see how many slices Billy Ray Mitchell puts down that have been taken bites of and left out on the ground.
Yes.
Now, Benny's, as you guys know, or if this is the first time finding out, official pizza of downtown Blacksburg, Benny Marzano's, was founded by Zach and Chris, who are both Hokie alums from the class of 2006. They founded Benny's in 2011. Ever since Benny Marzano's was founded in Blacksburg, the 28-inch pizza is making its way up and down the coast. Now, there's like about 30 here. 2 are under construction right now. We got 1 in Alexandria. So all the 703, 571 Nova Hokies can get in on that. And then also Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which may be one of the more northernmost Benny's locations as far as the, metropolis of the DC, Baltimore, Philly, New York, Route 95. Marconi's, DeNicolas, Adelinas, Soldados, Scarpettas.
Whoa!
Reading all the, it's Benny plus Italian last name. So that's what we got. We got plenty of Bennies up and down the coast. But head on down, whether it's Marzano's in Blacksburg, whether it's Capalagos in Manassas, Tesoro's in Nags Head, Outer Banks, or Palmettos in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Go to Benny's. Mention the Sons of Saturday when you're ordering for $5 off of your pie. It's a 28-inch pie, and it's going to be $5 less if you tell them we sent you. We love our friends down at Benny's.
Quick, because I have this before. I hate this. Any future bets that are in the freezer right now? The first one you poo-pooed on, which is fine. I am a holder of. I think it's good value. You can shake your head. You can shake your head all you want. I plus 7,000 is good value. You're telling me if I put $25 on it, I can win $1,700. I'm in. UNC.
Okay.
I
just thought you were better than that.
Well, I'm sorry. I like money. And I think good quarterbacks speak. I don't think they're going to win the national championship, but if they do, Mama's getting a new pair of shoes. I am holding UNC to win the college football playoff at plus 7,000. I am also holding a much more financially obligated ticket for the Hokies to win over 5 games. You have
it at 5 or 5.5?
I got it at 5.
I have it at 5.5, and I got to tell you, it's going to be a sweaty November.
I have it at 5. Feel really good about it. You probably have better odds than me. I think I got it at minus 120. But
pretty good.
Hokies to win 5 games. I hate this. This is the I hate this segment of the podcast. This is somewhat related to Virginia Tech, but it happens across the country. Something happens, and it stays that way for a period of time. That thing changes. We owe so-and-so an apology. Shut up. Shut up. Stop. That is casual clown malarkey that people do. It drives me insane. This happens every year with every fan base across the country. Perfect example. Deion Sanders. There's no way he can win. He's a fraud. He starts winning. Oh my God. Everyone that said he couldn't win is a loser. We owe Deion Sanders an apology. Deion Sanders loses a few games. Look, told you he'd lose. You owe me an apology because he sucks now. Snip, snap, snip, snap. It's like The Office. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. How is it happening at Virginia Tech? I think we were pretty critical about play calling on offense, gap integrity on defense, body language of the football team. Virginia Tech comes out against Pittsburgh, plays a brand of football that we have never seen them play under this staff. They compete well against Florida State. They beat Wake Forest. And then it's up. We owe everyone an apology. No, we don't. No, we don't. We have been presented with new data, and we are acting off of the new data. That's it. That is it. We don't always have to apologize to somebody. Things change. People are not the same. The Margaret that shows up to work that did not have coffee and the dog ran away in the morning may be a different Margaret that shows up to the office on Tuesday when she went and she was able to get her coffee and her dog welcomed her out the door with a couple of licks on her shins. Okay? Things change. You react to what you can see. That's my message. That drives me crazy. Any thoughts on that?
I wasn't critical of Kyron Jones. I just trusted the staff. They went with Grant Wells, and I planted my flag in Grant Wells because I thought that Grant Wells was the better quarterback. Grant Wells, after seeing Kyron Jones play for this team, not the better quarterback. Kyron Jones is the better quarterback. This does not mean that I do not like Kyron Jones or I owe Kyron Jones an apology. I'm not going to call myself Kyron Jones' number one fan, but I'm really excited that he's one of us and he's on our football team. Like
it is. And
this does not mean I need to dunk on Grant Wells either. And I don't think people need to do that on the internet. That's not going to stop them. They're going to do that. If Kyron Jones has a bad game, I am not going to dunk on Kyron Jones. I'm going to support whoever the heck is under center or behind center for this football team wearing maroon. And that's it. And that's how it's always been.
It's really not that hard of a concept. I don't know why it's so challenging to wrap our brains around this. Something else that I hate. We saw this at Ole Miss when Ole Miss beat LSU at home. We saw this happen to Caleb Williams after Caleb Williams lost to Notre Dame. And it is some snot-nosed loser. They typically all have the same haircut. They typically have pimples. And they typically are wearing a polo that is way too big for them. It looks like a dress. And they run up to them with their camera and they talk smack to players. We saw this happen at UVA when Coach Foster lost at UVA. Rich Eisen said this so perfectly on his show, available on Roku for free. Millennials are just.
Did he called them millennials?
He did. Maybe it's Gen Z.
Probably it's totally Listen, Rich Eisen. I'm a millennial. I'm 28 years old. Okay, I'm not doing that on Saturday.
We definitely have some friends that would have done something like that, or not friends. Some people in our orb, or in. I'm saying when people are in college. Let's not nitpick.
Yes, they are Gen Z.
I'm saying when they're in college, when we were in college, there were some people that we hung out with in college that would have done that. That's a fact. Let's not get all high and mighty here. Kids act like kids a lot. Stop. Give me a break.
Kids are going to be kids, but he makes a generalization about millennials, which people in Rich Eisen's generation like to do. All I'm going to say is, Rich, this is more of a Gen Z thing than a millennial thing. Now, if you're a Gen Z listener, this is not personal.
Pat's feeling.
Pat, is this personal?
Pat is triggered. But Pat, you would never do this. But he said millennials or Gen Z or whoever you would like to call them are just a little too comfortable. And I agree. I would literally offer services for free to go represent a player who just absolutely, I don't condone violence, but I do in this situation, absolutely just leveled a kid that did this. It is so not funny. It is so not cool. It is so loser. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And it happens far too often. If I see a tech person do this, I'm not going to level them. I will give them a stern talking to. So that drives me nuts. One more thing, because I know you have a point on Caleb Williams. I saw this on Virginia Tech's Barstool a couple weeks ago. Cover your kids' ears. Don't throw shit. Don't throw stuff in the stadium. It's not funny. It's actually rather annoying. And we saw this at the UNC game in 2021. Some idiot in the stands threw a chicken wing, uneaten chicken wing, by the way. Some people aren't able to eat, and you're throwing full chicken wings down the entire stadium. Are you kidding me? It's not funny to throw stuff. You look like an idiot. And I will call you an idiot if I see you do it. Sorry, I'm getting fired up on this Wednesday.
Here's what happened. It was the Boston College game last year, and a turkey leg hit a poor girl pretty much between the eyes. And then Billy Ray saw the turkey leg on the ground, and he said, "Hey,
is anyone going to eat this?"
He said, "Hey, I don't care. I don't care if she's injured. I'm hungry, and that looks like it's still warm, so I'm ready to consume that turkey leg."
That was good. That was good. But yeah, don't throw stuff. That sucks. And if you're a friend of someone that's throwing stuff, reprimand them. Again, not condoning violence, but there's nothing funny about that.
Hopefully, you're not friends with that person, and you're not that person.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams, I saw this. I don't know how much validity there is to it, but I did see it popping up everywhere. He reportedly wants partial ownership stake of the team that selects him in the 2024 NFL draft if he declares, per Pro Football Talk. The representatives of Caleb Williams have been making it known to prospective agents that Williams wants partial ownership of the team that selects him in 2024 if he declares for the draft. When did Caleb Williams become LeBron James? When did Caleb Williams become Michael Jordan? When did Caleb Williams become bigger than the game? I don't love this.
Pat, I tried. I saw this on the doc, and in the back of my head, I can't stand Skip Bayless, but there was like this Skip Bayless infection that was like, how can I zag Pat here? And I can't. I hate it. I can't stand it. I can't stand that Caleb Williams paints his fingernails with bleep whatever team he's playing. I'm not crazy about Caleb Williams. I gotta tell you, if I'm a GM in the NFL, I'm more interested in Drake May than I am Caleb Williams. You can go ahead and you can go look at Caleb Williams and how he's performed against top teams. He puts up numbers against bad football teams. He has incredible arm talent, and is just an athletic specimen. But a little bit of a prima donna, a little bit of a prima donna. And yeah, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, I hate that too.
Well, did you know? Did you know the stat? Caleb Williams is 0-15 against, or sorry, 0-6 against top 15 teams.
Not good. Bad stat. Bad stat. Bad defense. Shout out to our guy Chris Jones. It looks like his kid just won some sort of championship in T-ball. So shout out to them. College football dialogue discussion. I don't have any notes for this. I just brought the quote to have a dialogue about. He says, college football has become a gigantic cesspool of miserable jerks, fans and media, Twitter and in person. That team sucks. That team hasn't played anybody. That team is boring. That team is soft. Wins are not celebrated. They're ruthlessly picked apart. There's always more to talk about on the losing team than the winner. Inducing anger and clicks is almost always the goal. No conversation had, just disrespect given. Why be a constant thief of joy? Why not celebrate the pageantry of sport we all grew up loving? This is supposed to be fun. Pat.
This is not a college football this is not a college football problem. This is a everything in 2023 problem that is bubbled up because of social media and more people having a voice than they should. I think that's it. I think that puts a bow on it. That's how life is these days. Sports, politics, really anything. It is who can be on a high horse and call someone out. So enjoy the fun, enjoy the moments and the spectacle of the sport that you absolutely love and that you may have been raised on, and know that college football is always going to be like that. That's all I have to say. But this is a microcosm of how things are in life in 2023. Someone's always got to pull someone else down. So I don't want to look too far into it.
No, I really appreciated the tweet. I think we catch a lot of flack a lot of the time because, I think a lot of people enjoy dunking on or, quite frankly, saying things to players and coaches that they would never say to their face unless you were one of those 18-year-olds who rush up to them with a phone. So I guess in a way that's courageous. I still wish that somebody would knock you out. But loved that tweet. Very well put. And yes, it does align with many of the things that are going on in today's world. But to turn the page, and we're coming up to the end here. It has turned into, oh my God, get me to basketball. I cannot wait until basketball. Where is basketball? Mike Young and Kenny Brooks save our life. To, you know what? Football's kind of fun right now. Basketball's also coming up. Can't wait for that either. And that's where we are. So Ed and Mike are back with the Hokie Hoops pod. If you haven't listened to it yet, it is the podcast before this one. So go ahead and check them out. But we're going to do a really quick, just, hey, here are some things that are going on that you might want to see. So start with the men's team. Ken Pom currently has the Hokies ranked as 65th. They are nestled in betwixt West Virginia and South Carolina. We do play South Carolina in Charlotte this year. So that is where we are currently ranked. The fan experience elements were released. December 3rd versus Louisville, an orange out. January 23rd versus Boston College, blackout. And Red Panda, a tradition unlike any other. January 29th versus Duke, it's a whiteout. It's on Big Monday. Jay Billis and the crew hopefully will be in the Berg. February 19th versus UVA. We have a maroon out, and it is on what, Patrick?
It is also on Big Monday. We got double dose of Big Monday, Jan 29, Feb 19. Put it in your calendar. Buy your tickets. See you in Blacksburg. We talked about the South Carolina game. I'm fired up for Charlotte. It's going to be an epic Virginia Tech sports-filled weekend. You got the girls playing Caitlin Clark and Iowa. I always like to say Iowa like that because Iowa does it. Iowa on Thursday. Friday night, same building, 9:30 p.m. South Carolina. A lot of Hokie fans out there, a lot of Gamecock fans out there. And then Saturday, come hang out with us. We'll do a game watch somewhere, perhaps. It'll be casual. We'll put it on Twitter. Casual game watch somewhere for Virginia Tech at Boston College. My dad has booked his flight from Charlotte to Boston on Saturday morning. How many Hokies will be at all three games? I guess we will find out. We also have Wofford on November 19th, which is the Sunday after the NC State game, Senior Day. So that'll be 5 p.m. on Sunday, the 19th of November. And then the Thanksgiving tournament. We kick things off. This is in Orlando, Florida, at Disney's facility. Boise State on Thanksgiving Day. Then Iowa State and VCU, whoever wins that game. That'll be exciting if we got to play VCU. We've played Iowa State like a surprisingly large amount of times over the past decade in basketball, it seems like. And then hopefully in the finals, we can play Texas A&M or Penn State or FAU or Butler. I'm hoping it's Texas A&M. We go to Auburn in late November, early December.
I'll be there.
Like a Wednesday game, ACC SEC challenge. And the ACC tournament kicks off in DC this year, March 12th through the 16th.
Say that again. The ACC tournament's in DC. Let's go.
Yeah, that's going to be highly populated from folks wearing orange and maroon. It'd be fun to cut down some nets and see some more orange confetti. Love to see it.
John Rothstein here with a Rothstein reaction. This was I got to tell you, if you are not subscribed to John Rothstein on Twitter, you are doing Twitter incorrectly. He says, Mike Young tells me that this is the deepest perimeter that he's had at Virginia Tech. Hokies returned 2 perimeter starters in Sean Padula and Hunter Couture, who have combined to score just under 1,800 career points. I also want to pull a receipt out. I love receipts. If you have Twitter Blue, you have the ability to create folders of bookmarks. And I do have, you could be listening right now and I could have 15 bookmarks of you ready to pull out at any moment. I'm actually not going to give away the names of the people who tweeted these things, but a lot of people are saying, many people were saying, Rodney Rice, that guy's in the transfer portal. He's out of here. That guy's never going to play at Virginia Tech. That guy is gone. Well, guess what? Rodney Rice is on the roster, and I think that is going to make a huge difference for Sean Padula not having to shoulder 100% of the weight at the point guard position. So really excited about that. Really excited that he's coming back. I'm excited to see the growth of him over this year. So that does it for men's basketball. Let's talk about women's basketball. Teaser, I have declared war on Charlie Cream today. We'll save that for the end. But the preseason hype train is all the way underway. The Hokies women's basketball team is ranked 8th in the preseason AP poll. They are first or the highest ranked ACC team ahead of Notre Dame at 10 and North Carolina at 16, Louisville at 17, and Florida State at 18. Georgia Amore is in the top 20 for the Nancy Lieberman Award, which is the top point guard in America, ours by way of Australia. Kelly Gramlich also listed Liz and Georgia as the top duo in the ACC. I freaking love the ACC network, man. They rock. They're the best. What do you got for the women's team?
Iowa game. I mean, it's Caitlin Clark. You guys saw how many folks Iowa had in Kinnick Stadium in was it an exhibition game?
It was like a scrimmage or it was like an intra-squad scrimmage. And it was cold. It was windy.
I got to tell you, do not ever question a Big Ten fan base. You saw 80,000 at Nebraska women's volleyball. You see, might have been 50. It was tens of thousands of people at this Iowa game outside in Iowa in October. Awesome. It's going to be cool to meet some Iowa fans that weekend. We have not talked about how 0 home games for Virginia Tech women's basketball are nationally televised by ESPN. I totally got screwed, if you ask my opinion. Meanwhile, we have like 6 or 7 road games that are going to be on ESPN, but no one's going to be able to see how freaking awesome Castle Coliseum is, rooting on Virginia Tech and the Queens of Castle.
Clown show over at ESPN. Absolute clown show.
We love ACC Network, but ESPN's a clown show.
Yeah.
Okay. Kenny Brooks, the Kenny Brooks show, saw it was very well attended this week. That's awesome. People are fired up. People are excited. I mean, how could you not be? Love that team. Love that staff. Rutgers, December. It's December 17th. Virginia Tech at Rutgers. This is one of those nationally televised games on ESPN. We bought like 150 tickets to that game. If you are going to go and see Virginia Tech play at Rutgers in women's basketball on that night, it's a Sunday night. Do not buy our tickets yet. Buy them through us. We have plenty. We bought out a section. It's going to be awesome. We might do t-shirts as well. I am extremely excited for it. We'll put more information out on the internet over the coming days. Other than that, I know we had some questions here.
Oh, wait, I got one thing. In the blue corner is Billy Ray Mitchell, and in the red corner is Charlie Cream. For those of you unfamiliar, Charlie Cream is basically the Joe Lunardi of women's basketball, and I'm going to read you this excerpt of an article that he put out. The article had the headline photo was Georgia Amore, and it was best schedules and worst schedules in college basketball, women's college basketball this year. Chuck says he starts this article by saying, playing 2 Final Four teams in Iowa and LSU in November is appealing. Now you'd think, okay, he just said that Virginia Tech is playing 2 teams that were in the Final Four last year, so he's probably going to say the schedule is good, right? Nope. Chuck continued. But Kansas is the only other opponent that is a likely candidate for the NCAA tournament at large bid. The Hokies play 5 games against teams that averaged 288 in the net a year ago. Houston Christian, UNC Greensboro, Long Island, Radford, and William and Mary Tribe. That's too many games in which Virginia Tech won't be tested. Respectfully, Chuck. Respectfully, me and you are going to be going at it this year, okay? If this is how you're starting the season and you're somehow poo-pooing on Virginia Tech's schedule when they have scheduled to play Iowa and LSU on the road, Iowa at a neutral site, and they play in the ACC, which is, if not the best, one of the best conferences in the country pertaining to women's basketball. Chuck, me and you are going to go to war this year. I wish you nothing but the best. But we got beef, brother.
It was an absolutely egregious article.
We got beef.
The article was called, the title, and it's a picture of Georgia Amore, the best and worst schedules in women's college basketball. I don't even see in that title non-conference schedules. I just see schedules.
Well, guess who he works for, Pat? Who does he work for? Where's the article? Clownshow.com? Clownshow.com, right? Yep, ESPN.com. Thomas Crean. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't have personal problems with Tom Crean. I just think he wrote a bad article. That's it.
Charlie Cream, not Tom.
Charlie,
Crean.
Whatever. Tom Crean coached in Indiana. Sorry, that's an easy mix-up.
Yeah, I just don't know how you can rationalize this. You can't. It is what we call clickbait.
Yes, and consider us baited.
Congratulations, you have our attention, but this will not be the last battle.
No. As we promised, Hokie haikus that deserve some attention. Jeff Brillhart, that play we all hate. Drones drags ball in Teuton's gut. Get rid of it now. And Griffin Parker, Kyron is the man. Hokies dominate at home. Let's just keep winning. I couldn't agree more. I'm fired up for this next this shout out. This was really cool.
Our guy Rich Luttenberger Got to hang out with him at the Spring Jam and the For Those to Come golf tournament at Roanoke Country Club earlier this year, and also got to see Rich at the Rutgers game. Now, Rich was fired up when Billy Ray did like a Dax Hollifield exit interview earlier this year. Dax was talking about the push mower mentality, and it seems like Rich has brought that push mower mentality to the classroom because Rich is a teacher. He had one of his students write an entire essay in regards to life and how the push mower and the lawn mower mentality is not only just a phrase, but a way of life. Dax Hollifield's inspiration passed on to Rich Luttenberger's inspiration, passed on to an unnamed student who crushed an essay. Rich, I hope you gave him an A+. Shout out to the push mower mentality. All you guys out there, Billy Ray, what is one with the push mower mentality? What do they have?
They got grit. They're not sitting up on their high horse. They're not pouring gasoline into their thing. And actually, I feel bad because I know our guy O'Neill likes to listen to the Hokies on the radio and sit on his lawnmower, but he may have a really large lawn. But there's something to be said about pushing your mower around your lawn and taking care of your lawn yourself.
That's it. Love it.
That's it.
Patrick Bowers, letters from the lunch pail. P. Bow Wow says, what's the plan with Ollie Jennings? I don't know what the plan is with Ollie Jennings.
Drink milk, get healthy, catch 15 touchdowns next year.
I mean, in theory, if he's ready, can he play in 2 games in the end of the year and still get a red shirt?
I believe so. Because he only played, a half against Purdue. I don't really know how it counts. But I would love to see him come back. Through talking with Coach Holmes, I believe that everybody on the offense is eligible to come back. Every single contributor. So awesome. I know. So
best case scenario, Ollie Jennings plays against UVA and plays in the bowl game.
Yeah. Eric Barnes has had the same AV forever. It's some sort of soccer situation. Is the turnaround sustainable? I don't see why not. We haven't won games by mistake. Look, against Pittsburgh and against Wake Forest, we played complimentary football. In both games, the offense has still not really figured it out in the first quarter. That's probably the biggest issue that needs to be resolved. We need to figure out how to come out of the gate swinging. Every team that we play from here on out is absolutely beatable. Absolutely beatable. Home game against NC State, home game against Syracuse. I'll say it. Home game against UVA. So I don't see why not. I don't see why it wouldn't be sustainable.
So can you tell me, are there any psychological incentives that you would try to offer this team if they can score 10 points in a first quarter? Or like, is this I'm trying to think like negative reinforcement versus positive reinforcement. If they don't score in the first quarter, are you making them do sprints versus, hey, if you guys score in the first quarter, Benny's and R&R Wellness pizza party, with cash.
I definitely don't think
a money gun.
I definitely don't think that you can. Hey guys, we won, but the offense didn't score enough points, so we're gonna run sprints. I don't think that that's a winning recipe. I do think that a pizza. Literally, when you mentioned it, I was thinking like Chuck E. Cheese road trip or pizza for everybody if we score 10 points. So
Chuck E. Cheese road trip.
Eric Barnes is the turn. No, Aaron. What is Tech's record after a bye the last 10 years? I got to tell you, Aaron. Look, this wasn't really a question. It was more of a homework assignment. Basically, I mean, this information is easily accessible. I didn't look.
Why are you crushing our guy Aaron? Dude?
I mean, look. What's our record after a bye the last 10 years? I would have had to go through the exact same exercise that he went through. I would have to go to ESPN. I'd have to look at all his schedules and count them up. I didn't do it. That's nothing against Aaron. It's just it's not really a question that we're weighing in on. It's more of like hey, can you pull this data?
So you're trying to. So what you're telling me is Aaron's never writing in ever again.
No. All right. Aaron, you reach out to us. We're gonna do a Chuck E. Cheese party for you. For the trouble. I'm sorry. I may have
looked it
come
up.
off a little aggressive.
Yeah, it did. I looked it up. Virginia Tech is 3-10 coming off a bye since 2016. And then Jay Herman said, yo, those numbers don't add up. And then I sent a screenshot and I was like, I know they don't. I think they're accounting for bye week. I'm not really sure. Or sorry, bye week in a bowl game.
Yeah.
I'm that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, we have not, if you include bowl games, we have not won off a bye since 2020. And we are 3-10 since 2016. So the answer is not good, which means team needs to hang out and lay low this weekend, stay extra focused because there's a pizza party on the line and sprints are also on the line. We got Syracuse coming in Thursday night. Listen, they get 2 Saturdays off in a row. Or I guess cool. they get to watch ball, which is awesome. So, but hey, I say to this team, you guys got to earn that Saturday on the couch watching ball after you beat Syracuse. Cavalier
this is kind of fun, Pat.
Cavalier Squirrel. Skittles, lime or sour apple. I think I got to go with sour apple.
I'm with you there. If I'm going for something that's lime, I'm probably going to go with I gotta be honest, I don't really eat candy, that kind of candy. I love chocolate. I don't really do that. If I'm going for lime, I'm probably doing Sour Patch Kids, but I don't really eat that kind of stuff.
I think
Twizzlers suck. That's all I have to say about that kind of candy. If you like Twizzlers, I don't really understand why.
I'm going as Jim Harbaugh for Halloween. I have not ordered anything. I hope it arrives in time. Maybe that's what I'll do here before bed. Order some Michigan gear. If anyone has anything discounted, maybe a discounted code from Fanatics. Billy, you were a little spicy on the pod tonight.
I was. I took a nap today. I'm getting over the Blacksburg fog. No, I should be in a happy mood. Got basketball coming up. Tom Crean, quite frankly, kind of pissed me off today. But we'll be okay. We'll be all right.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys after this bye week. We'll do another fun episode like this. I think is Steven Gosnell coming on tomorrow?
Yeah, you broke the news. We got a couple of student athlete interviews tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Steven Gosnell, and we'll leave the other one as a secret. But you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you in Blacksburg soon.